Hello, welcome to another toneless landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence. I'm Francis McCarthy, and today I'm bringing you a redo. Now, those of you that like to just bail, and I can understand it because I'm a YouTube video bailer, just please understand that almost all of the action in this video is going to occur after the 10-minute mark. So you could jump there and just see the redo process. What you're seeing now is the original painting being created back in February of 2017, which is 3 years ago, hard to believe. And lately I've been kind of going through some older work, and it's amazing, it feels like I don't have to struggle nearly as much these days as I used to, and missed the mark. And I had done this painting. This was a 5x7 study. I did a 16 by 22, which for me is pretty big. I still have it. I don't love it. It's not bad. I really don't like some things about it, and some of the things about this painting that were bugging me are sort of inherent in the nature of that main tree mass. You might notice there's not a lot of trunks there, and that's almost always a bit of a problem. In fact, if a tree doesn't have a trunk, I probably will give it a trunk these days. But I don't know if I worry too much about that in the redo portion of the painting. We'll see when we get there. But this is, a little 15-minute video. I like to, put some of these interspersed with the live videos. I do have a really, really good live video. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting to bring my camera home, so I haven't been able to process that. But I may make it's my day off today. I have usually Sundays and Mondays off. But I may make a special effort to get over to the shop and get that camera so that I can get that up and shared. It was another one of these cases where I was feeling sort of lost, and managed to pull it out, and really very successfully, I think. And I'm very excited about where my painting is at these days. Most of my challenges are with the marketing side of the equation. I guess that doesn't make me special, but it feels good to be able to come in and fix something from... Actually, I just went through, I was on Etsy. You remember Etsy? In fact, if you go back in the channel, you hear me probably saying, go to my Etsy store or whatever. What I don't like about Etsy is that you have to pay to have a posting there, and your posting disappears like the same day. You're like 200 or 300 down. And so I kept seeing things from them, and I just ignored them because I thought I'd taken all the art down. Apparently not. They contacted me and said, well, there's a discrepancy with your birthday on da 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 da. And I'm like, well, I didn't know I had any listings. And oh, well, this painting's been sold. And it's like, actually, it's a painting that's currently in consignment with a gallery, and I just didn't feel like messing with the gallery, and I don't feel like messing with Etsy. And but that painting was in the process of seeing if I still had the painting in my possession. See, I'm getting to my point. I was going through boxes of things I have here at the house, stored, and I honestly, I don't normally do this, but I threw away at least 10 small paintings that I felt were not redeemable in any way, shape, or form. So that's rare for me, and most of those were from, I have to say, around 2016 or so. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough to see bad work. It's rough to see and deal with your own bad work. And I have to remind myself, because I don't do as much bad things anymore. It's like I've really made so many mistakes, and that's one of the reasons why I'm always harping on the experience thing. as painful as it can be to uh, have to deal with your own failure on a regular basis, um, I highly recommend just doing a lot of work and get rid of the bad things, keep the good things around, and support yourself in that way as an artist, and just keep moving. Always be looking forward to the next painting, and don't get hung up on that. And see, it's very easy to get hung up on past work if you don't do much work. So you're thinking, oh, I'd really like to paint, but oh, those last paintings were so terrible. And the best thing you do when you've done a bad painting is get in the studio the next day and do another one. And in some cases, maybe just do one in a place where you're strong and you know what you're doing. Like if you're good at sunsets, do a sunset the next day. You know, um, support yourself as an artist, and either way, just you've got to keep um, moving forward, at least until you can no longer move forward. But I won't get moribund on this podcast. You're not here for that. But that's really good advice. And I know it's like just something some dude's saying in your headphones or whatever, but it's very good advice. And trust me, I suffer and all the pain of failure that any one of you do. It doesn't always look like it because I don't, and I haven't usually shared the abject failures on this channel, but not everything on this channel is amazingly strong. This channel goes back to 2014, 2015. I've improved a lot since then. So you look at any of my older things, you can see ways that I'm much, much better. At least I can. And that's 90% of that is because I tried something, it didn't work, and I know when it comes across my plate again, something similar, I go, oh, that doesn't work, and I won't do it. Very simple. Very simple, but not necessarily that easy. Now, I did this painting we're looking at right now, Midsummer, Dusk, 5x7. I did like the 5x7. You'll see in the when we get into the redo portion in a few moments that I really just bolstered what was there. Now you can see I'm going right now into second pass in 2017, so this would have been my finishing stage of the original painting session. And back then too, I want you to notice like how I'd faded those trees out in the back. I just kind of learned that. I mean, I was new about it, but I wasn't implementing it. I kind of figured out, whoa, you can't have really dark things in the background of your landscapes. And I mean, you could have like an isolated tree or something, but you wouldn't want to have a mass. And the photos lie to you. They will tell you to do that. And when you paint them the way they look in the photos, it doesn't give you the depth. And you'll learn that by, mostly I learned that by failing a lot, finally figuring out what was wrong, doing studies after the masters, because if you look at the masters, they always added, that's called aerial perspective, by the way, when you sort of induce a bit of mist or just air in between yourself and more distant objects. Heck, where I'm from in California, this is everything. It could be 100 feet away, and you get an aerial perspective because the air quality is so bad out there, But even here, especially in the winter, where people have a lot of wood fires, see, I popped in the little trunk, and that does help. It does help. Still, it's actually I had a love-hate with this thing. The other thing is like I was like that bar of grass in front of the trees. I like it, but I feel like it's sort of messing with things too. And you'll see when we get into the redo portion, which is going to be like in 30 seconds or so, what I do to address that. And I think I think I felt that it was maybe too light, although I'm not looking at the redone version, so we're going to kind of explore this together. I probably did the redo about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that still hasn't been photographed, and that's one of the reasons why I'm using a screen capture for the front of the video. Yeah. Anyway, here we are, 2020. There it is, my little painting that was in a box. Ah, yes. So the reason I'm adding those little trees there is just to break up the hegemony of the main massive tree shape. And also you can see how I'm starting to darken the edge of that. I don't like real bright things going right off the edge of my painting. It can be okay in a sky. Also, you see I'm working with those trees in the back. I think they were a little too faded. So, uh, back then I was just, oh, faded all out. Um, but right off the bat, those are the things that came to me to improve this painting. And I think I did already. Adding a couple of little trees, stuff in the end there. Uh, what kind of trees? I don't know. They're imaginary trees. Because I do not pull up the reference again when I'm doing redos. And I recommend for yourself too. It's like we got a little time here, and I can keep burbling about the philosophy of painting. And by the way, that's another reason to stay with me through these shorter videos. There's a lot more, let's say, kind of meat and potatoes painting philosophy here than you're going to get in the live sessions, where the live sessions are, it's a whole different thing in that, I'm there doing the painting, so you're kind of on the front lines with me there. But here we're sitting back and kind of reminiscing, and talking shop, and yeah, I've so if you've been with me any time at all, I'm constantly lecturing you about doing lots of paintings and getting lots of experience. It's the only way you're ever going to get good. The other way you get good is by knowing when to use the reference and when to abandon the reference. And the best time to use the reference is at the start. And there's lots of times if you're going to go in and do a finish, it may really be best not to have the reference up at all. And this is really runs counter to, it's counterintuitive, I guess is what I would say. Logic would tell you that, oh, well, the closer I get to the reference, the better this painting is going to be. But the opposite is actually true. It's really totally true. Um, there's a lot of things in your photo, in almost any bit of photo reference, that if you transform them into oil paint on your board, will not work well, will not look good. Um, but you will experience the warm glow of pride that comes from a job well done, having copied the photo. And so painting is not copying. You are not a Photoshop filter that turns photographs into oil paintings, And it's funny to even mention that, but we've had the computer era with us now for almost 30 years, right? Well, it's been over 30 years, but in the mass consciousness, I got my first computer in 1994, right? So I'll be going on 30. Don't make me do math. Well, in 24, it'll be 30 years, right? 30 years with the computer. And I'll never forget a guy coming into the shop I was working at then. I was working in a frame manufacturing shop, but we also did like all sorts of different odd frame jobs. And this guy had discovered the photo effects, the gallery effects filters in Photoshop, and was running them on photographs and printing them out and trying to sell them as artwork. And at the time, this was so brand new, we hadn't seen it. That software was actually quite expensive. It comes built into Photoshop now. It has for like 15, 20 years. But I remember thinking, wow, this is like almost good. It looks like art, but it still looks like a photo. And even if you'll probably succeed and get when you do your painting and it not looking like a photo. But if you start bringing in all the weird wrong elements from the photo into your painting without any I don't know, you got to have speaking of filters, you have to have a filter, and that filter, the only way really to develop it is to just be an automatic savant genius, which there aren't that many in visual art, so just so you know, heads up. Um, or because you failed, and Anyway, we're getting kind of close to the end here. You can see all the things I did to kind of fix up my little painting, and it was good before, and I think it's better now. It's certainly easier to look at. The whole plane has been evened out. It feels to me like uh, it had nice colors before, but it has better colors now, and it's like kind of been flattened a bit in a good way. So thank you for joining me today. I'll be back real soon with another video. If you haven't already, could you please click the like button? And it won't be long. I'm going to be doing this subscribe star thing. So that'll be an option underneath the videos. You can click on it and send me a tip or subscribe or, whatever's involved with that. Anyway, until I come back with another video, please do me a favor. Take good care of yourself, your family. Love your enemies too, please. And stay out of trouble.